Hello Crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so glad you're joining me again today. Today I have a super fun card to share with you that shares one of my favorite techniques using embossing powders, and I really love how this one turned out. Now I'm starting out by making a super quick purple background onto a die cut panel. I die cut this with some rectangle stitched dies. I will list them below because the name is really long and I always forget it. I'm just swiping my ink cubes on there, creating this really fun effect. And I'm just using purples today because I never reach for my purples and I wanted to change that up. I'm using the Pinkfresh Studio inks today, and I will list all the colors I used in the description below. And to add a little bit more interest to this background, I am stamping this gorgeous floral stamp by Crafty Meraki on there. This is the special delivery stamp set, and it's designed by Emily Midget, one of my favorite floral designers. Her flowers are always so intricate and detailed and beautiful. And I'm stamping this on with Versamark ink so I can emboss this. The other reason I'm making this video is because I have a couple of embossing powders that I barely ever use. These are colored glitter embossing powders and I love the sparkle they give, but I find it quite difficult to use them in designs, so I want to try and use them a little bit more. So I'm going to be embossing this flower with velvet embossing powder. It's this gorgeous purple with so much sparkle in it. The embossing powders by Wow are just gorgeous. I heat set that off screen and then I can move on to my focal point. And these are dies by Crafty Meraki. This is the Spade die set, and this die set includes 3 of these flowers, so it's the same flower but in 3 different sizes and orientations. I'm using 2 today and I die cut each flower 3 times, and I'm layering those die cuts together with liquid adhesive. And then once they're all glued together, I can press them into my Versamark ink pad and I can cover these with embossing powder. This is a step I am going to do 3 times for each flower. I am going to press it into my ink pad and then cover it with, this is the ultra high gold embossing powder by Wow, and I'm starting off with this, but I will finish with a different embossing powder. Now these ultra high embossing powders by Wow take a little bit longer to melt because the grains are so thick, but they give a lot of dimension, and if you layer them on twice, this really looks like a gold embellishment. The embossing powder melts over the edge of the die cut, so it doesn't really look like paper anymore. Now, on the first embossing layer, this might not give you great coverage, so I always do this twice, but usually I do it even 3 times just to get a lot of dimension. And you can see I'm using these tweezers by, what are they, EK Success. And I use that to hold this die cut while I'm heat setting it, but also while I'm sprinkling on the embossing powder. So I'm picking it up with the tweezers. This is 2 layers of that ultra high embossing powder, and it already looks like a faux metal embellishment. But I am covering this again with a different embossing powder. This is the Turkish Nights by Wow. And again, it has a lot of glitter in it. It has some gold in it, so it really fits in with that ultra high embossing powder. These will melt together, so you will see more gold in this than usual, and also some purple and some glitter. I really, really love this one. To put this card together, I propped that panel up on some cardboard. I think it's great for adding dimension to your panels. It's a lot more inexpensive than foam tape, and it's a lot more sturdy than foam tape as well, but it is lighter than stacking multiple pieces of cardstock together. Now, to glue on these flowers, they had so much dimension, and some of the embossing powder snuck around to the back of the die cut, so these were a little bit hard to glue down. So instead I put some foam tape behind them, just some foam squares to make sure they were adhered nicely. Then I can add that hello sentiment. This is one of the sentiments from the Perfect Sentiments stamp and die set by Pinkfresh Studio. So you stamp and die cut 10 sentiments all at once. So I have a bunch of these already made, and I love using them on my cards for a quick sentiment. I'm also adding some embellishments by Pinkfresh Studio. These are the Stargazer embellishments, really deep, gorgeous blue, and I'm adhering those with Nouveau Deluxe adhesive as well. For my matching envelope, I am just using some purple pattern paper, and I'm folding that with the We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board. Once that's done, I can reinforce the score lines with my bone folder and then assemble it together with the Barely Art Precision Craft glue. And you can see this is double-sided pattern paper, and the inside pattern doesn't match the card all that well, but honestly, it is just the envelope. I am never too fussy with my envelopes. I think it's just a nice touch, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's the card and envelope all done. There you can see it in all its sparkly, shiny glory. I love the sparkle in these embossing powders. And by layering the embossing powders on top of each other, you really get that melted metal look. The embossing powder starts dripping over the side of the die cuts, and that gives it a look that's not paper anymore. I really, really love it. It's so unique and it's so fun to do. It takes a little while to heat that embossing powder each time, but it's totally worth it. I hope you like it too. If you did, make sure to leave a like on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. You can also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.